You are now about to witness the threat.
CHAMA!
LLAMA!
Ding dong!
Two friends with a passion for combat sports. One's an actor, the other's a ring announcer. Together, we bring to you the CLDD Podcast. Here we are, episode 8 of the CHAMA, LLAMA, Ding Dong Podcast. On one side, I guess this is the right side here, I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Christian Ventura, and to my left side, I have my verbal sparring partner, the man, Aaron Paul Stewart. My man, I missed you.
Hey man, how are ya?
Holy smokes. Like, I woke up this morning, I rolled out of bed, and my phone was just full of all of these notifications. The world of combat sports is hot right now. I don't even know where to start. Should we start talking about the UFC card, or should we start talking about the big news that just came out?
I think we know where we're going with the card. I think I'd love to chat about this whole TKO boxing endeavor.
All right, let's do it, man. So, to put it as eloquently as possible without having to like look at my notes or anything like that. TKO, so the company that owns the UFC, that owns WWE, they've gone into business officially with Turki, Alasheikh, and the Saudi Arabian government, yeah? Or the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, that's what they're called?
It seems that way. It seems that Dana has struck a deal when it's like some of the kind of the higher ups over at TKO, like Mark Shapiro. They are, Nick Khan, those guys. Obviously, we've been looking at how the Turki, Alasheikh in particular has kind of come in, and I guess you could say it has been completely changing the face of boxing in such a short period of time. There were times where we wouldn't get like a Tyson Fury versus Usyk, and then we got a second one like shortly after, not that long after, and then along with the Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol fights, that he just struck that deal with Canelo, which I think honestly, when you look and we will get into this, I think the fact that Dana has such a disdain for Jake Paul and that whole thing with Canelo and Turkey and when they're going to go to Netflix, is he going to fight Crawford? Is he going to do this? Like, I definitely think that like this has been and to put it in wrestling terms, has been a work for a long time. And I mean, if it's so funny because in that whole revealing of everything, Dana's always very like tight-lipped about like, okay, we're going to see where it goes. We're going to give you more information when, as we roll this thing out. And Turkey's just like September 12th. Like he's just like this calm, cool, collected dude. And I think that for the longest time, a lot of people were criticizing the Saudi Arabia government for sports washing with golf or soccer or like any kind of competitive sports. And now, but then you look at Turki Alasheikh and he's kind of like the savior of boxing. So it's really like, it's interesting. He's kind of like the outlier in this situation. We wouldn't be getting these big fights and if it weren't for him. And he is, it does come down to him. He has what appears to be a bottomless pit of funds to make these things happen. He's a major boxing fan. And I think that this is huge. This is huge for boxing. Absolutely massive. So I think that the entire industry of professional boxing will change very, in not too long.
For sure. And like, we don't have all the details and facts yet. I listened to that whole recent video that Ariel Helwani did about the whole deal and all that kind of stuff. And, I've been following it on X very actively, seeing the great Adi Aladipo chiming in on this, and Turki Alasheikh actually answering some questions. So like one of the issues that Ade had like initially like was there's prestige behind fighting for a WBC belt. There's prestige fighting for a WBA belt, but then Turki, the man himself, put on X is like, hey, we have a belt that's been fought for the last 100 years, and that's the Ring Magazine belt, and that has
Yeah,
quite a bit of prestige, and that's not even a belt that's like a sanctioned body belt. That's just something that's been around forever.
oh, well, absolutely, and now that the Ring magazine, the Ring organization has been kind of taken over by Turkey, it's interesting because like we said this just before we started recording, is that honestly, when you're looking at all these different sanctioning bodies of the WBO, WBC, the PBC, the Ring, and I mean, I'm obviously forgetting some here, but the fact that we have so many of these fights happen that are unifying belts, and then like a couple weeks later, for an example, like the WBC strips the guy that unified the belt, so then it's not a unified belt. It's like it keeps this kind of limbo of like, like we know who the best the best heavyweight boxer in the world is right now. It's Alexander Usyk, but like there's always this kind of like shuffling of the deck. I mean, if you look at it, ultimately, what the UFC model wants to approach in this idea is like no one cares about the WBC belt or whatever three letters are in front of that title. They want to see who the best guy or girl or whatever in each division is, in each weight class. It doesn't need to be like, you know, promoter versus promoter, which I do think has been a good thing with how these Riyadh cards have been built. But yeah, I think that it's just like, I mean, it's led to be it's left to be seen and see how this all shakes out. But like, if they're gonna approach it the way that the UFC has structured their cards, and you know, like Dana and that team aren't gonna like sign like Ryan Garcia or a Devin Haney or a Teofimo Lopez or any of these guys that are like, you know, obviously out of their price range right now, but you know, they've been really showcasing Callum Walsh, the Irish boxer that's been on their fight pass cards and stuff like that. So, you know, I think that they're definitely focusing on him as kind of like a marquee name, kind of a grassroots building a star from their stable. But yeah, if you're gonna get like, and if they said the best are gonna fight the best, and I think the biggest thing that stopped these big fights from happening in the past has been like a monetary issue. So I think that this could be, yeah. I mean, I think that the first event that the TKO Boxing is gonna do is they're gonna aim for September 12th. And I think that's gonna be the Canelo Terrence Crawford fight.
Yeah.
That's what I think, is they're gonna like blow the doors off of it from there.
Okay. Yeah, that's your hypothetical. I believe it.
That's what I think is gonna happen. I mean, you know, someone could slip on a banana peel and it could all go up in flames. But if that's their game plan, and it be at like Allegiant Stadium in Los Angeles, and it be like a crazy massive debut event for TKO Boxing, then let them do it. Like, it would be huge.
For sure. And like, you know, it could be like you know, obviously like TKO has relationships with all the top networks. Like I can easily see something like this being like a big Netflix thing too.
Oh, see, and that's what's so funny about this whole this recent Canelo deal that he signed with Turkey, because he's got a fight in beginning of May against oh man, I keep forgetting his name. Skull.
Oh yeah. We were talking about him, Canelo Alvarez.
And so he's obviously got that fight to kind of
he's fighting on May 25th. He's fighting William Skull.
Thank you. And for Riyadh season. So that's like the first of that 4-fight deal with Turkey. You know, again, if all things go as planned, we expect the Canelo will win that fight, and then you know, and we'll see what happens, what fights are kind of down the pipeline. But I think that it's very clear that the negotiations that Jake Paul had with the Canelo had with Turkey, and then as you can see that now this huge announcement with TKO and Dana, that I don't think they like Jake Paul, neither of them,
No,
and I think
no.
they're going to take their business elsewhere.
Yeah.
If it like Netflix already knows based on the Paul Tyson fight that like they know that like that form can work. If they bill a big fight on Netflix, people will watch. Now, I guess a lot of people wanted to watch Mike Tyson because he's like such an established name, but like they already know that they can put on a big fight like that and pull in a crazy amount of viewers. So I suspect that both Dana and Turkey are gonna like do their own thing and most likely just if it lands on Netflix, let it land on Netflix. But they've got that built-in ESPN Plus model.
Hmm.
And then Turkey's with the ring, and so there's just like an endless amount of possibilities of where this can go. And I just think that there's a lot of things to unpack as I read through these articles and look at like kind of the details of how they've kind of like set it up. But yeah, I think that Venn diagram of boxing, wrestling, and MMA it keeps getting smaller. It keeps becoming one big thing. So yeah, it's exciting.
It is exciting. And, there's just so many possibilities. And to think that, like, I remember, actually, I think this was around the time that you and I first became friends, was when Floyd and Connor, they were about to fight. I think that's when we started talking and we connected.
That might be right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that was obviously such a huge crossover event. And I think that this now creates more of an opportunity for if there are guys in the UFC that want to box guys, this kind of pulls out that whole, oh, I want to go and do my own thing. I want to branch off. I want to like, if you look at like a guy like I think Sean O'Malley said he's wanted to fight like Ryan Garcia
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Teofimo Lopez or Gervonta Davis. And it's like that window of possibilities becomes a little bit more plausible. Obviously, I think Usyk must have had some kind of ear to the ground because he just like out of nowhere mentioned fighting Alex Pereira
Yeah. Yeah.
like
That
as
was
one of his
crazy.
retirement. So
That was a crazy rub too when he name dropped Alex Pereira, like at the time that just came from out of nowhere. Like when you have the heavyweight champion of the world call you out, that's a big deal, man. That's a big deal.
oh yeah, so I think that like some of these crazy fights that we never thought would happen are very likely to be a reality. And maybe this can lead to a John Jones versus Francis Ngannou thing. Maybe this can lead to. I mean, I really don't know. I just think that the possibilities are potentially endless.
Yeah, especially now
Now,
that you bring that up, because Turkey was the big, driving force to put together Tyson Fury and Francis Ngannou. I mean, who knows? Like money always talks, and
mm,
never say never in the fight business, right? So, obviously Dana doesn't have the most positive relationship with Francis, but now that he has this relationship with Turkey, and they both have this mutual relationship, I can, never say never. Never say never,
and
right?
and I think that they both share in well, I think on one side, Turkey is the one that wants to give you the biggest fights that he possibly can. He
Mhm.
wants the best to fight the best, and like Dana has said that, but that coincides deliberately with Dana's uh, adoration for money. So I mean, like, no, like, hey, like if you can make it happen, make it happen. But I just think that like there's a lot still to figure out because it's like if this falls on its ass and it turns out to not work out, I mean, but like, I mean, Dana's wanted to be involved in boxing from the get go. He's always wanted, he tried to do the Zuffa boxing. It just never really got his feet off the ground. And I think that this is just the perfect storm, the perfect time for this to happen.
Well,
And
remember, there was a point in time for a while that him and Eddie Hearn from Matchroom, they were buddies for a while, and
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure they still have a very positive relationship.
Yeah,
But now, because Dana and Turkey, they're going to be working hand in hand now. I wonder what that'll mean for the other boxing promotions that also work hand in hand with Turkey. And I'm pretty
oh,
sure,
yeah,
because like Turkey, like let's be real, he's the A side, he's
mm,
the financier. I think everyone's good. Like everyone that works with Saudi Arabia, they're all gonna be hand in hand in agreement, thinking this is a great idea. But inside,
mhm.
maybe they're like, what does this mean for my business, right?
Well, absolutely. And I think that like you said, with like Dana being kind of friendly, yeah, I would just say friendly with like guys like Eddie Hearn. I think that only can create more of a working relationship. You look at I think the biggest thing holding back boxing for such a long time was that while it's always a cross promotion, it was hard to get guys like Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn to sit in the room together. You even see now with this Eubank Jr. and Connor Ben fight, these guys, like whether you like Eddie Hearn or you like any of these promoters, like they all have a reputation, but at the end of the day, these fights are happening, and some of these guys you would never think would ever want to do business together. So, uh, I mean, I think that if they can kind of revitalize the sport and make it a more fluid presentation, make it run at a good time, have good pundits involved. I don't know what that means for the broadcast, to be honest, because I know it's always usually been not so much as like a promoter is hiring a broadcasting team, but more so
The network.
The network. Thank you. Yeah. So
just because,
yeah, I think
the Zone has their people, ESPN has their people. Back in the day, HBO and Showtime had their people. So it's gonna be really interesting. But I'm pretty sure, knowing Turkey's involvement, knowing Dana's involvement, it's gonna be like new age, but at the same time, they're gonna get people that are more than qualified to talk about the sport.
Well, yeah, of course, and like we've come down to like the bottom line is that this is where the money is going to be. This is where guys are going to want to fight. I don't know what the pay structure would be like, but I mean, honestly, it's like the main reason that most of these fights either happen or don't happen is based on the contracts and the purse. So I feel like just having Turkey and Riyadh season just attached to this in general, like that, like the potential of these fights to actually happen are going to be much more realistic. So, I mean, I don't know what those fights are going to be. I'm just really curious, like how this rolls out.
Yeah.
I wish I had something more nuanced to say, but I'm going through it and they're looking at kind of developing like a combine of bringing up fighters, which I don't know how necessary that is in particular, because they've already got the UFC PI.
And
They've got and they built the PI in Mexico as well. So it's like there's already like a base to bring these guys in to build them up and kind of create bring a new wave of talent in that maybe haven't had that opportunity based on promoters. So
it's gonna be really cool too, because if you think about it, I feel like having those caliber, high level boxers, I actually think there's actually quite a few high level boxers that already go to the PI anyway, and they help out various MMA fighters. But I think just having that presence, literally the UFC PI is the Avengers headquarters for combat.
Yeah.
Right? Literally, you want the best strikers, you want the best grapplers, you want the best strength and conditioning, everything. All kinds of stuff. They are literally there at your disposal. And in many ways, as long as you fight for the UFC or in the future, whatever their boxing company is going to be called, you have endless access to this wonderful facility and all the staff and all the resources in it. So I feel like it's not just going to elevate the sport of boxing in the long term. It'll probably elevate combat sports and mixed martial arts as a whole.
Yeah, honestly, I think this is this is so huge for the sport of boxing, for combat sports in general, to have this kind of union of such powerful people, such influential people. Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to kind of wrap my head around each individual piece of details, but
various things. Are you gonna try to are you gonna make your fighters wear uniforms? Or are you gonna sterilize it like that? I don't know. Knowing how the sport of boxing is, I don't think they're gonna even attempt that.
Yeah, and I think as much as Turkey's footing the bill, and it says that TKO is kind of doing the production side of things. I just think that like Turkey has too much of an adoration for the extravagance of the whole pageantry of the whole presentation. And even I would say in maybe like the last like 3 or 4 events, you've just noticed them just running at a faster pace, like a tighter ship.
Yeah, compared to when they had Fury versus Ngannou, we were going back and forth. Remember, we were like, we really like this concert, but we were like, this has been going on for like 1 hour. Like, when are they gonna walk to the ring already?
I know, man. I think sometimes like you're waiting for a fight to happen, and it's like sometimes like not often in boxing, but sometimes there's like a second or third round TKO, and that fight ends sooner than you think like the next fight's gonna go, and then they're vamping and talking and going to locker room talks, and they're going to this guy and going to that guy, and then before you know it, like there's a concert with Eminem or Liam Gallagher. And you're like, this is cool, but like I don't need it. Like I don't need.
I never asked for this. I just want to see the fight. Guys to fight, right?
Like,
it's like, oh yeah,
like I just want to watch the fight.
It's like, oh yeah, Christian.
I think I started watching. Yeah. I think I started watching the Anthony Joshua Daniel Dubois fight card at like 11 a.m. and like that fight didn't start till like 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm like, I'm watching this thing for like 3.5 hours. What's going on? like can we get to the like we're here to watch the fight. Can we just get on with it? Like,
Now, there's a lot of things to consider too, because like I know the way the world is going, it seems like we are going away from the pay-per-view model. It seems like we're going into the WWE PLE model, where like basically if you want the pay-per-view or the premium live event, you just have to subscribe to Netflix, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, eventually that's inevitable. That's coming. Like they did that, like in many ways, I feel like Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul was sort of like a testing ground for this type of model. Is this something that like, how many more subscribers can we get out of putting something like this together?
Well, yeah, it's one thing to get like Mike Tyson and Jake Paul to fight because it's a very, influencer heavy kind of energy to something like that. And Mike Tyson's Mike Tyson. So that was like a good marquee fight for Netflix to dip their toes in the water, so to speak. But, I think that if you can provide the best fights, like we all want to see Canelo Alvarez versus Bud Crawford. That's a very obvious fight that like, and Bud Crawford needs that money fight. There's so many other guys I want to see Canelo fight. I want to see him maybe take on Dimitri Bivol, maybe undo that loss. I want to see him fight Joseph Benavidez. I want to see him fight a bunch of people. I mean, and then maybe down the line he fights Jake Paul for like $150 million. Who cares? Like Canelo's all about the money.
Yeah.
Canelo's a fantastic businessman, and I think that he, let alone anyone who's involved in this operation, really played their cards well. And I wouldn't expect them to do otherwise. Yeah, I think like with that PLE kind of mode where you're gonna like maybe do kind of not like the lesser cards, so to speak, but like, not like the big main events like your Royal Rumbles or your WrestleManias or your, Elimination Chambers or something like that. You're gonna look at things like that as kind of like those pillars throughout the year. But if this means that they're like, can you imagine if they do one of these big boxing cards in the glorious Apex? Like, it's just like that's the only thing. I don't want it to hit like this saturation point, but I think that I do like that kind of like the big cards you pay for or you invest in, but like having there like a steady stream of even like a contender series type style thing.
There has to be.
Because they're gonna have their own ranking system. They're gonna have their own belts.
Instead of Dana White's contender series, it's Turki Alasheikh's contender series.
And honestly, like it'd probably be pretty good, to be honest.
It would be good TV, that's for sure. But like I personally think that like especially with the cost of pay-per-views going up, and it's like good luck trying to stop everyone from getting the bootleg streams. It's impossible. You close.
Yeah.
Like we've known this since like the first person like started putting these fights out. It's like you close one website, you get 10 more.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they definitely they pop up like weeds for sure, and I think that's just something that's inevitable. Which was kind of I think why the Netflix model with Jake Paul was like a really good move, because not a lot of the like, and like I'm just speaking off the dome here is that like I don't think a lot of Jake Paul fans are people who are buying $50-$60 pay-per-views.
Yeah.
I think that they're pirating or torrenting or whatever. They're trying to stream his fights illegally anyway, because that's just kind of the way it works, I guess. So I think like getting involved in Netflix is like an obvious way of just getting as many eyes on something as possible.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that that's a cool method that they're going to go with. I don't know. It's just like really hard to see how this is going to shake out until we see it. Like, I'll tell you, when you look at all these like announcements for seasons and leagues and rosters and teams and stuff, like, you know, I'm looking at like the PFL, I'm looking at the GFL, and like this actually looks like this absolutely means something. Like this actually means something where the best will fight the best. It's super exciting.
Yeah,
and
it is.
I just I want to see the best fight the best. I want to see like I just don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen, but I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. And like, you know, I think obviously everything that we're talking about is all hypotheticals, nothing confirmed, nothing set in stone. We don't even have like a roster officially of who's going to be there, but I'm sure a lot of guys that are associated with Turkey, like Canelo Alvarez, like you said, are going to most definitely be involved. Like, I can see it now, like, you know, going forward, especially like, you know, for UFC fighters, look at like a guy like Ilia Topuria, who has like the best boxing and mixed martial arts. Like, I'm pretty sure like that champion, he's going to negotiate and be like, hey, you know, for my next deal, I want to try boxing.
Absolutely.
And now you have a platform to do it. And the best part is, not only do you officially have the UFC machine behind you, like you actually like basically the same benefits, the same everything that you get from being a UFC fighter. It's the exact same thing as being a boxer.
Yeah, it just takes out that like awkward middleman where Dana doesn't like doing cross promotion. And I think for the right reasons. I think the whole reason why he doesn't like to do cross promotion initially stemmed with his negotiations of having Fedor.
Yeah.
I think like M1 Global wanted to do a cross promotion, but it was like they wanted to own a slice that he didn't want to give up.
Yeah.
Now I'm obviously watering that down like no one's business, but I believe that was kind of like the genesis of why he didn't really want to do that kind of thing. He wanted to keep it in house. He wanted to keep it his own.
Because like a lot of people seem to forget that like in the early days of Zuffa and the early days of Dana White's involvement, he cross promoted with Pride. Like he went to Japan. Like he physically went to Japan with Chuck Liddell, like who else? I think Randy Couture. Like
Randy Couture, yeah, it might have been
Randy Couture didn't fight, but like he went with Randy Couture. Like Randy Couture like actually did some fights and commentary like on some of the fights in Pride. You know,
And I think that you've seen, you know, obviously with the UFC's involvement going to I know this is a different region, but going to Abu Dhabi, how that market has been really churning things out. And then, you know, they've done a couple of the smaller cards in Saudi, and he's constantly and then obviously the UFC Nocha at the Sphere, like it's just slowly been building. Their relationship's been building. They seem to have a really positive relationship, and so it's like, yeah, I think that this is like I want to say that there's more nuance to this than just the fact that like Turkey has a lot of money, but I think that like finally there's been like, this is a guy to make things happen.
Yeah,
you can look at like Dana being like, like if you want to say Dana's like the promoter of the year, I think like Turki Alasheikh, like there's no way that this guy is literally single-handedly out of his just love for the sport managed to completely revamp the boxing model. And I think it was a archaic and difficult model to operate within anyway. So it's like, yeah, I think that this is such a exciting step in the right direction, and I hope that it succeeds.
Me too. I mean, you know, just not only like, I mean, like in boxing, there's a lot of big players out there, but like, I feel like, you know, these guys could be the one to like, you know, really, I mean, not that the sport like needs to be put on a higher level. Like, I feel like it just needs to be, and it should be getting more respect than it is right now.
Yeah, I just think that this isn't your grandfather's boxing anymore. They're trying to make this more accessible to younger fans, bring in some like homegrown talent, like established names that people are familiar with. Because like if all of a sudden in a year's time you say like, hey, we're gonna do like and again hypothetical, if you're gonna say like we're gonna do Sean O'Malley versus Ryan Garcia, like who's not gonna watch that? Those are two of the biggest stars in MMA and boxing, let alone top 5 biggest stars in the sports right now. Like that's just like, yeah, give me my money. Like I'll give you my money. Just put it on. And like you said, without that middleman of that, like, oh, I don't think, I don't want to get out of my contract to do boxing because Dana won't let me. Like, it completely eliminates that whole gray area.
Yep, that bridge has been built, and now I have an interesting hypothetical, and this is a big hypothetical. I think this might be what finally brings Conor McGregor back.
I mean, sure.
I mean, remember, I earlier today I sent you this video of him. He gave like this guy like a bucket of treasure, and they started.
Yeah, he looks. He went full leprechaun. Yes, I remember this video vividly. And I think my response was, "He's gone full leprechaun." I'm like, I just think the Irish have always, him in particular, I can see it, but I think the Irish always have a bit of the. A bit of leprechaun. I think I'm Irish. I look like I could very easily be a leprechaun with my red hair and a stout figure. So,
anyways, like
like if it checks out.
Conor McGregor has been doing everything but fight. He's been like teasing fights with BKFC, even though like we know there's a good chance that none of that will ever happen. However, we know that he loves to box. And like now that we have this platform and he's under UFC contract and there's
like, let's Conor versus Manny Pacquiao. Let's put it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Why not? Manny's not Manny's available, right? Manny's not a top ranked guy. He hasn't been a top ranked guy for a long time.
But people with like, again, if you're looking at like numbers and you're looking at like recognizable names, if Netflix says, hey, we're gonna do Canelo versus Crawford, and we're gonna do Conor versus Pacquiao. Like that's like, oh, cool. It's like we know those guys, and then the fight that's really like the real fight, like similar to the Netflix card when you had Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano too. You're like, no one's like, well, we don't know who those are, but it turned out to be the best fight of the night.
Yeah,
it's just like you're just kind of swapping, you're just kind of putting other fights in those spaces and being like, oh, I know who Conor McGregor is. I know who Manny Pacquiao is. And like, who's this Canelo? Who's this Bud Crawford guy?
Could you imagine, like, if we were having this conversation a few years ago that this was happening, like you would think that like, we're just talking out of our ass. Like these are
like,
just
no way.
These are just
like, no way.
These are such stupid ideas, but like, no, this is very much in the realm of possibility. Like we could very well get Manny Pacquiao versus Conor McGregor in a boxing ring. On the same night, we could get Alexander Usyk versus Alex Pereira.
That'd be nuts. I think that's so much more of a reality than, I think like coming back to it, I think Usyk knew something.
Oh,
he had I mean, like he's the heavyweight champion of the world. He's the most feared guy. He's the baddest man on the planet as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm open to seeing John Jones fight one of these guys. I'm open to seeing Tom Aspinall.
Dude, if we get
Francis Ngannou, like I'm happy to see these guys fight the best of the best because that's what we want to see.
If we get John Jones versus Francis Ngannou in a boxing ring before GTA 6,
come on.
How are we getting how are we getting this fight before we get John Jones versus Tom Aspinall?
Oh my God. I think that has to happen soon. I just feel like that has
to happen at International Fight Week, please.
Like, like it has to happen. Why are we like, it's like, it's right there. Like, yeah, sure. Do Islam and Ilya as a co-main if you want to, or don't like, do Sugar Marab too. Like, but like, those are great fights. Sure. Awesome. Cool. Exciting. But like why is the interim champion not fighting the champion? I just like it racks my brain on a daily basis. And it's like, I don't care if it's like a money thing. It's clearly no longer a money thing because Turkey can make this happen. Yeah. Like, here's money, take it.
Yeah.
I'll give you 50 mil each. And then Tom Asswell's probably like, yes, I would have fought him for $5. Like, I like it doesn't matter. Like if and hey, maybe it's just like whatever. Maybe that fight hasn't been offered. Maybe who knows? But it's just like if there's one fight in UFC that can happen all year, then like please just let it be that. Like I don't care. I don't care what any other fight is.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I'm just I just please for the love of God make it happen.
You know, we spent a good amount of time talking about this massive news to shake up the combat sports world, and it's been news I feel like that's super refreshing compared to, you know, news about the GFL draft and, you know,
Tony Ferguson versus Dylan Dennis, KSI versus Dylan Dennis, and then who else? What was it? Like I think the only
Dylan
fight.
Dennis versus KSI is much more intriguing than Tony Ferguson versus Dylan Dennis, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because I listened to Tony on Errol's show, and it's like I always really like listening to Tony. I think that he's like in my opinion, the greatest what if in MMA and combat sports.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just like it's freak accident after freak accident. Things happen.
That wire's fault.
Yeah, man. And I just like he's such a weird and charismatic and bizarre individual. Even when he like right in his heyday, he was like he really was the boogeyman at the time. And like the fact that we never got to see him fight Khabib, I really don't know how that fight truly would have gone. But in Tony's prime, you never really know. But at this point, and as well as probably the last 5 losses, I mean, a couple, you know, I could stomach the Gaethje loss, I could stomach the Charles loss. But after that, I was like watching through my fingers, and I just don't like to see guys take that much damage, or you know, like it just feels like sacrificial lamb kind of thing, and I just don't like watching it. So
me too.
Yeah.
So refreshing news and
refreshing news.
You know, and now like, you know, looking forward to this weekend, we have an excellent card of combat. It's gonna be a good one. UFC 313, Alex Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev, and we got the co-main event of Justin Gaethje, Rafael Fiziev. Fuck, I was hoping that like we were gonna see Gaethje versus Hooker, but I guess this part 2 fight's gonna be good, right?
Yeah, no, I think that this is like I tried to think about, you know, we talked about it last week, and I thought that like if the best case scenario was put a pin in that fight, wait till Dan Hooker's back, and rebook the fight. But at the same time, Justin wants to fight. I think that Fiziev's been on the sidelines after an injury for about 1.5 years. So I never like it when guys come in short notice like this, 10-day short notice, but it is like the best fight that you could replace Hooker with, in my opinion. I think the first fight that was during the Leon Usman 3 card in the UK was when these guys fought. It was an incredible fight. Even though Justin Gaethje won by a majority decision, I actually, on my cards, I thought that Fiziev won. Yeah, it's a great fight. I'm excited. Some people are complaining that it's not a 3-round fight. I'm sorry, it's not a 5-round fight.
Dude, that would have been such a banger if it was 5 rounds.
Yeah, but I just think coming in at 10 days notice isn't ideal.
Yeah.
For guys like that.
And on top of that, the last fight that Fiziev had was back in September of 2003 against Gamrot, where he lost by that leg injury. Like I think he was winning that fight too.
He was, and then, you know, like I think we saw a really good 3 rounds with these guys before. I think it's gonna be a banger either way. I think Justin Gaethje, like I don't think it even matters. That guy is just he is like a human highlight reel for a reason, and yeah, I mean, obviously we were really all excited for the Dan Hooker fight, and we thought that was like guaranteed fight of the night, knockout of the night, performance of the night, one of those 2 guys. It would have been just super entertaining, like regardless. So, but I think this is a really good, replacement, so to speak. I think it's exciting for Fiziev to come back in. I really like him. I really like watching him fight.
Me too.
And I'm happy to see him back. And I think it's the main card of this of this event is like a lot of fights that are like experience versus kind of like the new guy in a way.
Yeah.
And I think that especially like I think one of the sleeper fights of the card is going to be this Jalen Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Two guys that are kind of like, well, Ignacio is like kind of like on a skyrocket right now. He's doing really well. Jalen Turner, really big for 155, big, tall, lanky guy.
Yeah,
Like
he's
I don't know how
6'3".
he cut. Don't know how that guy cuts to 155. Everyone always says that. I think that there's a move to welterweight in his future, but until then, these guys are just like kind of like I would like to see Bahamondes continue the streak of climbing the ranks, but one of these guys is clearly going to kind of insert themselves into the top 10
For
after
sure.
this, or like top 15 at least, and that's really exciting. And I mean, just looking down, you've got King Green going up against Mauricio Hufi.
The king of the hood,
What
King Green.
Yeah, and you know what? I was listening to Dan Hooker and his podcast, The Outlawed Picks, and this is like the exact fight that King Green is like kind of known to win.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
he's always an upset. Like when he fought Grant Dawson, like Grant Dawson was like a surging lightweight, and
He
and
played
he
spoiler.
knocked him. He played spoiler. He plays spoiler a lot, so that's really exciting. Mauricio Hufi being part of the Fighting Nerds, like obviously those guys have so much momentum, so much steam, but I do think Mauricio is kind of the least seasoned of those four guys, in my opinion. I think that he comes in, he's kind of like the flair guy of the group. He's a little bit more risky. He's a little bit more unorthodox and kind of unreliable. But I mean, he's 11-1 and he's riding a 2-fight win streak right now. So I mean, what do I know? But it's just like when this card was initially announced, I didn't think that it was as rich and as deep as it is on paper. And yeah, there's a lot of really, really cool fights to look forward to. But I mean, I'd be lying if, and obviously the name of our podcast here, that I wouldn't be super excited to see Alex Pereira step into the octagon again, because he is much must-watch TV. Must-watch period.
TV. And, as, I personally think Alex is going to, successfully defend his title against Ankalaev. But, like, don't sleep on Ankalaev, man. Like, he's very much a threat to this title reign. And, he's someone that could win. He's someone that could win.
Yeah. And, I think a lot of people just see his name as Magomed. They see the Russian flag next to his name. They see he's from Dagestan, and people just immediately knee jerk and think that this is going to be like a lay and pray 5-round. Ankalaev isn't known for shooting for takedowns, like really very much at all. I think, if anything, of all the fights that Poatan has taken on, the times that he was taken down the most was against Jan Blachowicz. And even so, but like, if you look at that Blachowicz versus Ankalaev title fight that ended in a draw, like those guys just stood and banged shin to shin, just like going to town on each other. And Ankalaev couldn't handle Blachowicz's leg kicks. I don't think that he can handle Pereira's calf kicks. That's like Pereira's like just sneaky little. He just slides it in every time, and it's really hard for these guys to check those kicks. And it doesn't take long for it to completely immobilize you. It doesn't take long for it to really expose you and leave you vulnerable. So, I mean, I'm predicting like a second or third round KO from Pereira. I do think this is a very valid test for Pereira, but
I think it's a very good test. Very good test.
But I like we said before, I think that this is going to turn into just like an all-out kickboxing fight, because that's where Magomed showcases his talents anyway. Like, and I just don't think all these guys say like, I'm not gonna shoot for a takedown on Pereira, even though that it seems to be like the best idea. But I don't think he's like, I mean, like if Pereira hits him with a couple leg kicks and he needs to, I think the only reason that it will become more of a grappling match is if, Magomed starts drowning in the striking. So
yeah. I mean, it's
but
gonna
yeah.
be like it's gonna be very telling and sobering, like, you know, what his game plan will be like after eating the first few leg kicks, eating the first few jabs and things like that. Like we'll really see you know, what he decides to do. But logically, on paper, the game plan should be take down this guy at will and keep him there at all cost. Right? For as long as Alex Pereira is on his 2 feet, he is one of the most dangerous men alive.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that no matter what happens, win or lose for Pereira, like I think if Pereira just happens to fall short, hypothetically speaking,
And it's very possible.
and it's very possible, like he is, Ankalaev is the number 2, he is the rightful contender at this point in time. It kind of feels like one of those like kind of mandatory title defenses that the WBC would slap on a boxer just to be like, okay, well, we need you to defend this belt because it's part of your contract and you have to. It maybe not be the not the sexiest matchup. It's not Pereira versus Usyk. It's not Pereira versus Tom Aspinall. It's not even Pereira versus Jamal 2 and that's the thing. But like you put anyone in front of Pereira, he's just gonna go to work. And if he does happen to lose this fight, he'll just be like, all right, I'm done with light heavyweight up to heavyweight. Like win or lose, I think. I just don't think Pereira can really do any wrong at this stage of his career.
He has options. He has choices. He has star power.
Absolutely has star power. And, on paper, I don't think the UFC because like they wouldn't book this fight if they didn't want an outcome. But I don't think they particularly want Ankalaev to be champion.
Of course. Like, he's the A side in this one. He's the big draw, and he's the big reason why a lot of people, including us, are going to be tuning in on Saturday with a lot of attention.
Yeah, I think it's a sneaky card. It's just like there's some cool stakes attached.
Hello. Oh no. Lost connection. You lost your connection.
Sure, Van. He's fighting Ray to Surya. Am I saying that right? That's a flyweight fight.
You lost
Alex Morono, Carlos Leal. Oh, sorry.
You actually lost connection.
Did I actually? Oh, can you not hear me?
Like no, we're good. We're good. Let's
We're good. Oh, we're back.
Yeah, we're good now. Go back to what you were saying.
Oh well, like there's just like a lot of like really cool fights. Like I was saying, like Joshua Van versus Ray to Surya. That's a flyweight fight. I think potentially like the people's main event, kind of the sleeper potential fight of the night could be this Alex Morono versus Carlos Leal fight.
Okay.
Those guys are just like such interesting guys to watch fight.
I was gonna say that about the Ray I can't. My goodness, sorry.
Suruya.
I think it's Suruya. Ray Suruya versus Joshua Van. I actually think that's my sleeper fight pick. I saw Joshua Van fight in his last contest, which was at UFC 310, and he looked fantastic. Like I was very impressed by his abilities and his striking level. I saw him actually fight too at the Noche fight, which was 306.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. He was nice. Good. Let's see. Ray Suruya. I have the Tapology up right now. So Ray Suruya. So he made his debut at UFC 303. Okay, so that's where I seen him. He actually fought in the Road to UFC tournament.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
I see that now. Yeah.
And he made his name in the great Japanese promotions of Deep and Pancrase. So like he's been around.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see new guys come in. He's got a 10-0 record, so it's exciting to see if these 10-0 records are. I'm not to say these aren't legit. I'm not that I've ever made a walk, but it's like there's always some kind of mystery of like how good are these guys? Like who have they been fighting leading up to this? But it looks like he's had a good period of time to kind of, he fought at 303, like you said. He had that Road to the UFC event. So he's kind of cutting his teeth slow and steady. Like we said last week, I think that if his Tapology has anything to say about it, it's like they're kind of building him up the way that they should, especially for flyweight, because as we know, that flyweight division seems a little a little murky. There's some new life being breathed into it for sure, but I think you don't want to give guys too much too soon in that division, being that otherwise it's just Pantoja fighting Moreno again, and then fighting Royval again, and then
it's just
he's already fight. Like we expect him to fight Kai Kara France, who he fought in Tough, and then what are you gonna have him fight? I mean, like it's just like you don't want him to obviously Pantoja wants to rack up defenses, but you don't want him to be fighting the same guys.
Yeah, you don't want the revolving door. So it's nice to have some fresh blood in there, and I feel like this contest between Ray and Joshua Van is going to be a great contest.
Absolutely,
it's gonna be really good.
Yeah, I mean it's a great card. I think they're back in Las Vegas. Really cool to see Pereira back in there. Like, I mean, he's just always been the guy to save the day, which is always why his star power has just skyrocketed in such a short period of time. Basically doing like a speed run of a Hall of Fame career.
That's pretty much what he did. It's pretty much
and like this is. And then, like he's already got 3 title defenses. Like, he's still far away from Jones's record, but he's like very clearly becoming one of the staples in the light heavyweight division. Like, there's been before him, there's such a flux of the belt changing hands or belts being vacated. And I think that we all want to see Pereira keep his star power alive. It is a difficult test with Ankalaev, but I'm convinced. I'm honestly convinced that it goes Pereira's way come Saturday night.
Yeah, I could see that. I just feel like there's always that what if, especially guys that have that high level striking background. It's like, how are they going to do against like a high level grappler? But, you've made some really good points in saying that, like, his opponent, Ankalaev, yeah. Magomedov is his first name. So it's been a long day, but he's not the kind of guy to do the stereotypical Dagestani style where he would dominate you on the ground. He's a more well-rounded Dagestani fighter.
Well, yeah, like if you go to his stats, like just for the sake of the argument, I'm just going to bring it up.
Yeah, sure. Where are you going? Are you going to
I'm just going to his stats on the UFC page here. Ankalaev. So, I know that there's a breakdown of this, but like something like he has like a 31% takedown accuracy, which he doesn't shoot very often, and I think that just a lot of people think just that is, from what we believe, is Pereira's kryptonite, but like he's just not that guy. He's just really not that guy. So I just think that let me see, like his takedown average is like, it says that his takedown average is 0.92 per every 15 minutes. So it just goes to show you that he doesn't shoot very often. He is primarily a kickboxer. I'm sure that obviously he's constantly working on his grappling and his top control and his pressure. That is obviously a perfect method of controlling Pereira, but Pereira just closes that distance so effortlessly and keeps the distance and hits like a truck. So I think that you can't if Magomed's gonna shoot in there, what's the chances of Pereira hitting him with a knee down the middle? So with such a high level striker, I just think in terms of striking pedigrees, Pereira is just so light years ahead. But Magomed is a very durable, very tough guy.
Well-rounded.
He's only ever lost once, and that was at the very end of that fight with Paul Craig, where to get tapped out by Paul Craig by triangle is fair, fair enough.
That's fair, yeah.
So I mean, I do think that there's going to be some grappling exchanges for sure. I do. But I think we mentioned this before. I think that if Pereira knows that that's his one main deficit, and eventually, eventually, like, someone's gonna shoot on him. He's still got to be training for it. Like, do I think that the Glover Teixeira and Plinio Cruz are like just like, nah, we're just gonna work on your kickboxing? It's like, no, they've clearly, like, he's clearly working on his jiu-jitsu. He's clearly working on his wrestling. So it's like, even if he's just gonna use it defensively.
Yeah, I mean, at this level of the game, and this is part of the expectation of being the UFC champion. You have to be proficient in all of them. Like, we all know your game. We all know Alex Pereira's game. He is pound for pound one of the best strikers in all of combat sports, let alone mixed martial arts, right? And he holds the title for one of the, for the premier promotion of mixed martial arts. So it's expected that you know what to do if, you're to be put in certain situations, whether that would be on the ground, against the cage. You know what to do.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think, I don't think the Pereira's going to try and shoot on him.
No, it's definitely not. Like, actually, shout out to the great people over at the UFC for keeping these stats on their website. This is actually like very, very, very beneficial, very useful. It says here, Pereira has a 100% takedown accuracy with only one takedown attempted.
He's shot once.
What?
Like,
who was
did
that
he shoot on? I think he shot on. Did he shoot on? Who did he shoot on?
Was it Izzy?
Maybe.
We're gonna have to like look.
Because see, then you look at Izzy being such like a high level striker as well, that he was forced to grapple.
Yeah, and he's turned into a proficient MMA grappler, and a lot of people seem to forget too that like it's mixed martial arts. Like, you don't necessarily have to be the best striker. You don't have to be the best grappler. The most important thing is being able to put it all together and create your own game plan according to your style.
Yeah, I mean,
you make it work.
I'm just trying to think of like, let me look at the recap of. Was it Izzy? Do you think, or was it? Maybe it was when he fought Blachowicz. Maybe that was when.
I'm genuinely curious now. Like, I'm gonna Google search this, and like I have like Google on my screen right now. Who did Alex Pereira?
Oh, there you go.
No,
I'm wrong. No, I'm wrong. I am wrong. Maybe Adesanya won. I mean, see, maybe it was against Bruno Silva. Maybe that was it. Let me see.
That's possible. I'm gonna have to like chat GPT this, I think, because like
takedowns. No, yeah, no idea. Can't find it. Can't find it.
You know what? I'm going.
But like you said, apparently he shot once, and he got it. So
at the end of the day, that's
for him. Hey man, it's a numbers game.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I'm actually gonna ask Chat GPT. Hey Chat. In Alex Pereira's UFC career, who has he managed to take down? Let's see. ChatGPT, it's doing the search. Okay, so let me get this on the screen. Actually, okay, create link. Copied. So I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to paste it on the screen for everyone to view, and I'll read it out loud. Okay. So throughout his UFC career, Alex Pereira has attempted and successfully executed a takedown in only one fight. This occurred during his bout against Israel Adesanya at UFC 281. where Alex Pereira scored a single takedown.
There you go. But hey, and yeah, that's when he won. Yeah. That was one in Miami. No, there wasn't one in Miami.
No, that was at Madison Square Garden, no?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, that was at Madison Square Garden. But that's absolutely insane. The one takedown he's landed in his entire UFC career was against Izzy.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like, I think Izzy's like, an underrated grappler, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
We just haven't seen him showcase it. And I think that he's wanted to, he always talks about like, oh, I just want to get a submission. And I think it's very possible that he can, but I mean, whatever. Like, hey, it's a numbers game, like we said. So good for him. But he also has like a pretty high takedown defense. Like he has a 70% takedown defense. So, and that's pretty good.
No, that's amazing, man. 70% is a very high percentage.
Like I don't know how many times people have attempted to take him down. Like how many? Well, but 70%. So, yeah, I think. I think, yeah, I just like it's kind of like a weird question mark. This whole fight. I think we all have an idea of how we expect it to go, or where maybe like if it's not over by the third round, maybe Magomed's like, oh, okay, I got to take this guy down, and we don't know. Maybe Ramadan has affected Magomed with his recovery, with his rehydration.
I saw that like he was like that he was actually like just operating as normal even on Ramadan, like he was eating lunch and things like that. That's what I heard.
Well, I mean that makes the most sense. I think. I mean, obviously these guys are very very devoted. I think it's if anything, it's going to show you that guys from Dagestan who choose to compete in this period of time, they are very strong-willed. This is like their resolve is tethered to their culture. So I don't think it's going to be as like much of a talking point as a lot of people seem to think it is.
Yeah.
But
although
yeah,
an interesting talking point was when I sent you that link where he was talking about how like Pereira is not really like a sober fighter.
I think that's just a low blow, man.
Yeah.
I just think that and I think I saw that tweet like a while ago. Like, I think it actually came out a while ago, and I just think that, like, it's only been addressed as of late, and, like, you can kinda see this, like, great white shark look in Pereira's eyes when he talks about it. It's like, he talks about how, like, he knows what it's like for people like that to suffer through these addictions or
Yeah.
and I think that he's, like Pereira's, like, as stoic and Easter Island as he is, like he's very like he's also just like a very like vulnerable guy that you sometimes see these kind of like little snippets of him like kind of be emotional when he's like with his kids and he's training with Glover and he like he shows Glover the Lamborghini he bought and Glover thinks it's for him and he's like laughing and then he does all these kind of sketches of Plinio and like he's like I like that his personality is coming out, but I think that like yeah, I think that you don't want to piss off that guy though.
No,
I wouldn't.
No, I don't think anyone would. But yeah, that was an interesting bit. Like if you're trying to like take him off his game by accusing him of not really being sober after like all these years of promoting sobriety.
Yeah, that's just like not cool.
No.
Like, I think anybody we know who chooses to, even if you're like, hey, I'm not going to drink this month or something, you're going to do a dry January or whatever. Like, there's always someone out there to tell you that you can't do it. And I think that like even that's just like he's not like Pereira isn't sober for anyone else other than him.
Yeah.
Other than the person that he wants to be and the guy that he's literally turned into in such a short period of time, and he's like one of the more inspiring guys in the sport, let alone athletes in general. So like I just I don't like that. I don't like when people like question whether someone's like a legit to their own vices or whatever. It's just lame. It's lame.
Yeah. And you know what though? Like we've seen lower things, like much lower things like in combat sports. Like people go for families and they go for stuff that you just absolutely should not touch with a stick. Like,
absolutely.
In the fight game. But I mean, like, yeah, let's see what happens. I don't know. I feel like Pereira is like just ice cold, unbreakable. Like he's mentally in the fight game, he's unbreakable. I just don't think you break him that way.
Yeah, and I think that like you see him like cornering Strickland, and you see him like on these press tours, and he's always doing something. I mean, people think that like his eye is off the prize, so to speak, but I just think that he's not built that way. I think that like. I mean, I don't really know. I think he trains pretty smart. I think that he stays in shape year round. I mean, he's obviously a big guy that has to cut quite a bit of weight. But manages to think like light heavyweight really is the sweet division for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have to cut too much.
Yeah.
And like you listen to guys like DC or Chael on their podcast, and it's like I think we're grasping at straws, man, about like how we can expect him. Like, I mean, like I think we're all simultaneously like pretty confident that Pereira is going to do well, but there's always a shred of anxiety when you're facing a guy that is like could potentially be the antithesis to what uh Pereira does best. So yeah, man. I mean, I'm really interested to see like where what would be next for him after this. I think this is like kind of like a scheduled defense that he has to make, and like I said, if he loses, hypothetically, I mean, I don't think it's going to really damage his star power too badly. But like I'm interested to see if he goes up to heavyweight. I'm interested to see like what goes on with that Jan Blachowicz and Carlos Ulberg fight at the end of this month. I don't even know what the rankings are at light heavyweight, but he's kind of
I'm
clearing it out.
I'm looking at it right now, and to be honest with you, everyone from the top to the bottom of the light heavyweight rankings, I don't think there's anything else for Alex Pereira after. Like if he beats Magomed Ankalaev this Saturday, you have no choice but to go up, man. Like I'm looking at like he's pretty much cleared out the division. It's like hypothetically, do you want to see him fight Alexander Rakic one day? Do you want to see him fight Khalil Roundtree again or Dominic Reyes? Like, no offense to any of those guys, but it's just, I just don't think it's very compelling. And like, if you want to like not only further challenge yourself, but continue being the big draw that you are, you just got to go up, man. And like, I think he's down. Like he doesn't have to cut that much weight already anyway. So like you go up to heavyweight, you don't have to cut weight at all, dude.
Yeah, and I think that like if he's going to go up to heavyweight, he's going to have to fight Jones or Aspinall, however that fight rolls out. I mean, like it's obviously exciting to see if Dricus goes up, but again, that's like Dricus has some assignments that he has to take care of. That being Hamzat and whatever's going on with Imavov or Kyle Baralho. So like like he's got stuff to deal with right now. He knows he's got stuff to deal with. He's not like calling Pereira out to be like, hey, like I want to be a double champ. He's like, I'm going to deal with this. When the time comes, he's going to move up. He would like to fight Pereira to challenge himself. So, but that's like to be determined, to be continued. Like you said, I don't think we need to see him fight. We don't need him to do a Pantoja and like re-fight these guys over and over again.
No. At this point in time in his career, it's we don't want to see the revolving door. We just want to see him challenged.
Especially because he's like 37. Like I mean, I don't know. It looks like he has quite a lot of still a good amount of mileage on him.
Yeah, he's 37 years old, and like again, like I feel like a guy like him, he can do whatever he wants with his career. But like I think like if he can get past Ankalaev this Saturday, it's move up or like crazy super fight dream fights like against Alexander Usyk.
Yeah, and I think that if you're looking at like the other guys that have like the most juice in the light heavyweight division, that would be exciting for him. Again, you've got Jan Blachowicz, who's been out for a while, who's fighting Carlos Ulberg. So again, we have to wait how that shakes out. Jamal Hill rematch actually has probably absolutely the most juice, but with Jamal
coming off the loss, right?
He's just coming off that loss to Prohaska, and he's going to fight Khalil Roundtree, which I think is a really great fight. It's a fight that was supposed to happen. Yeah, I think that like those are the ones that have the most juice, but like at the same time, like we don't need to see him fight these guys again. I think
it's unnecessary.
I think Carlos Ulberg is the only one that really like, ooh, that's a fresh face.
But at that point in time in Pereira's career, do we really want to see him in like one of those kind of fights where you could potentially pass the torch to someone else? Not now. Not now.
Yeah. I think it's and I think the same thing with middleweight is like as soon as he won the belt, he lost the belt and moved up. He's like, okay, whatever. Like I don't need to kill myself at this weight class any longer. He's proceeded to phenomenal things at light heavyweight. So yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that win or lose, he just goes up to heavyweight.
Yeah. No, nothing else.
Makes the most sense.
Sense.
And then he doesn't like and like if he's gonna fight anyone in the heavyweight division is like worth fighting. Yeah. Like, hey, have him fight Cyril Gahn. That's a cool fight.
Okay,
have him fight.
That's a cool fight.
like Tom Aspinall, Alexander Volkov, like
Sergey Pavlovich.
yeah, all these striker guys, like I think that the heavyweight division is more inclined to grapple with him than other divisions. But again, like those are exciting matchups. I'd like to see those. Until we finally get Jones Aspinall, like, hey, look, it's just there. It's right there. It's just staring at us right in the face.
Now, we've talked a lot about the main event coming up this weekend, and we've talked to death about Tom Aspinall versus John Jones. So, like, I think pretty much like in the world of UFC and mixed martial arts as a whole, like this is just the only thing that just has to happen, and everything else is completed, right?
I really think, well, especially because the heavyweight division is just so like things can't move until that fight happens. Like no one's like, and especially when Cyril Gane fought Volkov. Where was that? Was that it when they fought in the last fight of the card in December? It's like, there was like an idea that, if Cyril looked good in that fight or Volkov looked good in that fight, that like they could be a interim title defense, which I saw at this point, it's stupid. But like, it's like because that fight that went the way it went, I don't think Cyril Gane has a lot of bargaining power in that regard. I don't think people want to see Cyril Gane fight for a title again anytime soon, just because he's had those two options.
Especially with how easy Jones beat him for the title, no one is like, really clamoring for him to get a shot again right away.
Yeah, and so, like on one hand, I think that like Pereira going up to heavyweight, like you could do kind of like an Anderson Silva versus Forrest Griffin type kind of showcase. It's not necessary, but it'd be like a fun thing to see. But I think the same way that we talked about Ilya vacating his belt, there's got to be conversations that if you're gonna move up in a weight class, being the person that you are, there's got to be talks or agreements placed beforehand where they say like, okay, well, if you're gonna move up, you're gonna fight this guy, or you're gonna fight for a title, or you're gonna fight at least the top 1, 2, or 3 guy. So, yeah, I think that like it just doesn't. Yeah, again, it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think that like a Jones versus Pereira or an Aspinall versus Pereira fight, it would be massive. So like it's right there. There's a limited timeline to do these things, and talk about 2 of the biggest stars, 3 of the biggest stars on the sport. You might as well just throw them in there. And he clearly wants to, and he clearly is interested in taking that challenge. So why not just let it happen?
Yeah. Well, I think we've covered everything that we wanted to talk about. It's funny because
absolutely,
if you think about it, on one hand there was a little bit to talk about because there's really only 2 topics to talk about, just the fight card and the whole boxing situation with TKO. But like really, there was like so much to unpack, and there's still so much to think about. Like in the coming weeks, the coming months, like hopefully we hear more news about this TKO boxing in the works, and of course we got the aftermath of what's going to happen after this weekend's UFC card, because there's a lot of what ifs that can come out of this.
A lot of what ifs, and I think it's a really exciting time for the sport. It's a really exciting time for just the TKO now 3-pronged trident of combat that they now possess.
It's funny. I'm curious. I remember seeing somewhere. So I know TKO, they don't have like I don't think Power Slap is on their roster. Let's see, TKO company. I think they also.
Do you watch Power Slap?
No.
How do you? No.
It's not, personally, like I say this with respect because I know people that worked there. My really good friend, my big brother in ring announcing, Justin Bernard, he's the ring announcer for Power Slap.
Oh, sweet.
And he does an excellent job. He's worked in the Las Vegas MMA scene for many years, and he actually does a lot of the Contender Series fights. He's the ring announcer for it, and he also does like the road to UFC in Asia as well. So he does all those. But yeah, it's personally, I say this with all due respect, it's not for me.
It's not for me. I'm like that. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't know. I mean, I think that it was like kind of funny to see these things on YouTube, but now that it's like kind of be treated like it's a big deal. I don't know. I
Okay.
think yeah, I'm not a big slap fight guy.
Yeah, it's not my cup of
Each
tea.
their own.
Not,
Yeah.
not my cup of tea. And like, I'm not going to say anything really negative about it on the show
Yeah,
because
it's not
as
necessary.
yeah, we're trying to be positive here. But I'm looking
Yeah.
at the TKO website right now, so they have a really big portfolio. So of course they own the WWE, they own the Ultimate Fighting Championship. They also own PBR, which I learned recently.
Yeah.
The world's premier bull riding company, they own that.
Yeah, they're with that Kansas City card with Khalil and Jamal. That's like a weekend that they're doing the PBR, a WWE event, and a UFC fight night. So, I mean, it's Kansas City.
Yeah.
So, with with like the popularity of the Chiefs there as well, like I mean, I think it's like a perfect storm of all these kind of different IPs and different different kinds of energy coming in. So I think that that's like a really good business move for them. Yeah, I mean, I know that like Dana has been involved in like the PBR and he owns a bull and I think it's called like American Steel or something. Which obviously, like, I don't know anything about bull riding. I think that I know that Cowboy Cerrone rides bulls. I mean, just because I'm not a bull riding guy doesn't mean that there isn't like a massive market there for it either. I'd rather watch bull riding than I watch slap fighting, if I'm being perfectly honest. I mean,
Oh, hey,
it's pretty
man.
sick.
I mean, like, I like in terms of like combat sports, like there's a lot of quote unquote freak shows that I like. I kind of think it's fun to see 10-on-10 team fights. Those are
Oh, man,
kind
for our listeners, just so you know that Ryan often sends me the most batshit crazy, like fighting or something video on Instagram, and he always dubs it "my next gig." And I'm like, at one point, I actually thought he was serious, and but like they just get crazier and crazier. They're usually, and like all due respect, they're usually from like some like underground Russian combat fight league where like a mob boss is fighting a drug dealer, and like and like 18 women are fighting one guy because he like cheated on one of their friends. It's just like it's like reality TV on steroids. It's ridiculous, but it's nonetheless very entertaining.
I like those over slap fighting.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. Take my money.
Yeah.
I wonder what the betting line is for those ones.
Oh man, like if there's options to bet on that, that would be the most degenerate thing that you could do.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I don't bet too often, but when I do, I bet with my heart, not my brain.
Yeah, see, like that's something that like I've been training myself not to do over the years. That's why maybe one day we can give like, I wouldn't say that it's advice, but like I'm pretty solid on it lately. So like what I've been doing is I've been doing like 3 to 4 fight parlays, ideally only 3 fight parlays. I try to keep it within like, so like once I get the parlay up to like plus 250, plus 300, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Right? And like what I do instead of like betting on the result of the fight, I bet on if it goes the distance.
Right. Yeah, no, that probably makes the most sense. I'm thinking like I might throw one down, but I don't know. I haven't really. Sometimes I think I know who I'm gonna bet for, and then I like flip flop, and then I don't know. Never really know who to like. You think you know what's gonna happen, and then
Yeah, man.
blows up.
Betting on fights is so unpredictable, and I feel like obviously I'm not a betting expert. I feel like betting on if a fight can go like to the decision, like that's in my opinion the like safest bet.
Yeah, like I'm just actually looking at Bodog right now, and it says that King Green versus Mauricio Hufi. Like King Green is a plus 345 underdog.
I saw that. That was
And-
very intriguing.
And I don't know about that. Like
Yeah.
I think that, like I said, I think that this is like he plays spoiler a lot, and I think that this is the exact kind of fight just based on his experience.
Yeah.
It's like what, like The guy was
Isn't
just
that crazy that King Green has made an entire career of playing spoiler? Like, just when you think, like, obviously, like, we like most people think he's a gatekeeper, but just when you think that someone is gonna go to the next level, let's send in King Green, see where he's really at.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Like obviously like Patty got the better of him, but like just looking at his record, like he's 32, 16-1 with 1 no contest.
Insane.
And Hoofy is 11-1. I just think that like in this case, it's a great matchup. I'm excited. I think it's one of the sleeper hits of the card. I love the fighting nerds. I love King Green. His fighting style is street.
Or hood. It's hood.
It's hood. Yeah. But yeah, like these guys are, I just think that like this is the exact kind of fight that King Green is like kind of on paper is born to play the spoiler for. So, hey,
if you were to bet $5 on King Green, how much would that pay out?
Let's find out.
Okay. Plus 337, you said, right?
Just to win?
Yeah.
Yeah, money line.
Just out of curiosity, because like obviously, if you're gonna make any bets, like do it at a point where like you're very comfortable losing that.
Yeah. If I put $5 down, you get pays out $17.25. That's not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Pays for a pizza and a couple beers, I guess. Or maybe it wouldn't. Maybe just the beers.
Yeah, maybe just the beers. Maybe just the beers.
Yeah,
and you'd have to go get it, and you'd have to go get it yourself. You can't like get delivery or anything.
Yeah. There's no way. You get like the tip and then the delivery fee, and yeah, there's no way.
Yeah.
But hey, that's not a bad payout though.
Yeah, it's pretty decent.
Realistically speaking.
Well, Aaron, you know what? We've gone a little bit over time again, but it's okay. Like we had a really good conversation. In fact, I've been really enjoying where our podcast is growing. Our banter is getting better all the time. It's a slow growth, but like we're getting more and more people that are subscribing and viewing our content, and I'm looking forward to its continued growth. BFL is just around the corner, so I'm going to be lining up some guests for that. And now that we got like the lots of really exciting boxing stuff, we got to have more boxing people like on the show to talk about it.
Yeah, that'd be really exciting. I think, yeah, like whatever, even if there's anybody who just wants to pop in and, like just break down a card or just talk about their thoughts of this new TKO thing, that'd be really cool. But I think, we're doing this for fun, but like the more reps we get in, it's good practice for both of us.
Oh yeah.
Just getting our thoughts out there, getting used to saying stuff, talking about stuff. But yeah, I think we're on episode 8, which is cool.
Yeah, man.
We're almost at that 10 point, so that's cool.
Almost at episode 10, yes. So Aaron Paul Stewart, once again, thank you, my co-host. Where can they find you on the internets?
You can find me on Instagram at Aaron Paul Stewart. I am on X at Aaron Stew 117. I'm still trying to put it all together into one cohesive thing. But yeah, try to check me out, say hi. I like movies. I talk about movies a lot on Twitter or X or whatever have you. So yeah.
Yeah, he's the guy to talk about movies with, and of course, being an actor yourself, and when you have things to plug, please plug it on our show.
Absolutely.
Ryan Christian Ventura, you can find me on all major social media platforms at Ryan Ventura 604, except for on X, I'm Ryan Ventura 778. I'm looking forward to talking to you again for episode 9. Once again, you can listen to us every Thursday, available on Spotify and YouTube. Please like, share, subscribe, share with your friends. Just an easygoing podcast. We're not trying to, spew out negative news and talk about the same talking points that everyone else talks about. We want to try to be positive and look on the brighter side of combat sports, because with every negative news that's out there, because believe me, we have enough negative news outside of combat sports anyway. Like we need something positive in our lives, and like I feel like this coming weekend's fight card, all the stuff with Zuffa boxing, or not Zuffa boxing, whatever TKO boxing is going to be called, it's so exciting. It's all very positive stuff.
Sweet. Well, I'm looking forward to episode 9, man.
Me too, man. Have a good evening. We'll talk to you very soon, and everyone, thank you for tuning in.
All right.
Bye-bye.